Today on That's Classic, we have a fun one, a great one. Really, just one that I've been looking forward to doing for some time. So today we have the gentleman that starred as Danny on the Partridge Family, and he's been in quite a few other things. And I'm looking forward to talking with him, Danny Bonaduce. So, Danny, welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm
Or
doing
afternoon or
good.
evening. Good, good. Nice to be here.
Yeah, heck yeah. So I'll tell you what, right out of the gates, I wanted to ask you something. I had seen, and I can't remember where I saw it or read about it, but
Right?
is it true that like you and David at one point, like I hate to say stole, but took the bus, the Partridge Family bus, and took it off the lot and just started driving around on the thing?
That is totally true. And according to David Cassidy, it's all my fault. I don't remember it the same way David did. He said that I did well, first of all, you got to understand that when we're in the bus and we say our lines and then the door closes and we're going to drive it, grown men push the bus like 5 feet out of the shot and then they push it back so we can do it again. And apparently David said I did over 13 takes and he was just sick of it. And he closed the door and he started the bus. And I didn't realize what was happening. Yes. And then he just rolled it out the studio gates. But he forgot, and I never even thought, we had the number one show in the country and the number one song in the nation. We were so famous, nobody knew what to do about it. So we got to Hollywood and Highland just because that's where the bus went. And the cops shut down the street. There were helicopters, motorcycle cops. It was a big deal. But yes, that is true. David mostly stole the bus.
Was it exciting or was it kind of wild that suddenly, the crowd started showing up and the
Well,
cops and everything?
it was super fun and exciting. Anything to do, when I'm 10 years old, 11 years old, I'm with David Cassidy. Anything was magic with David. Just he was my idol. But nobody was prepared for what happened. It happened so fast.
Wow. Wow. That's really cool. I mean, really, that's pretty neat. So what were like some of your when you look back on it, what were some of your favorite episodes?
My favorite episode one would be the Christmas episode. It was just great, and I got to ride a horse, which was very exciting. There was the one where I was teaching the stock market to Laverne Levine. I can't remember her name, but and he sent the mob after me, and we were the first show, as I understand it, that got the note to not say mafia, call it the mob, and then everybody started calling it the mob. But anyway, so this mob gangster guy had a girlfriend, Laverne Levine, or I'm not sure, I remember correctly. And
Yeah.
he sent some hitmen, but when he found out I was only a kid, he just wanted me a little roughed up. And my favorite line was the guy goes, I'm wearing a souvenir, a duck, a flotation device from a rubber duck. And the guy goes, if you do it again, this is what's going to happen. He goes like this. And I look at him and I say, you're squeezing my duck, sir. And that's my favorite line. And a lot of people think that's their favorite line too.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. What was, by the way, I look at that show and I've had various people on my show and I ask them, what was it like? Just like, what was a typical day on the set for you? Like, when would you get there and what took place? What was happening? Before we go on with the interview, I just wanted to remind you to please subscribe to That's Classic if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when my next episode is being released. Okay, let's go on with the interview.
Well, we would get there almost every day at 8 because you have to remember, kids can only shoot for 8 hours and they have to get 3 hours of schooling. Well, the two other kids, Chris and Tracy, would get all 3 hours at a time. I would, because my part got so big, I would do my schooling in 20-minute increments that took me from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. to get done. And if I didn't get those done, I didn't get credit for school that day and the studio would get fined. It was a big deal. But so that was it. I'd get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd shoot up, I'd get my hair and makeup done, then I'd shoot right away, and then I'd go to school. But, it was a big kind of a family event. Everybody really liked each other. Everybody really got along. So that was probably my favorite thing. And the two people, David Cassidy and Dave Madden, who played Ruby and Kate, were just the best form of male role model that I could have. And I was really appreciative of them both.
Wow. Yeah, Dave, like I said, I did a lot of research on you. Dave Madden really, I got the feeling like he was a second father to you. Am I taking that too far or is that true?
No, you are not, absolutely not taking it too far. He taught me how to drive. He taught me how to drive a stick shift. Unfortunately, he taught me how to smoke.
Oh,
um,
geez.
well, that's the weirdest thing is I think about it now as odd, but at the time, I could go when he was shooting. I could go into his dressing room and he'd leave cigarettes out, and I would smoke them, and he would act like he didn't know. But why was he leaving the cigarettes out?
That's funny. I saw that he taught you to drive on Topanga Canyon. Now I live in LA. I know Topanga. I mean, this is the best way, but what the hell was he thinking? I mean, it's insane.
You got Dave. Dave was a bit of a weirdo, but in the best sense. For example, we went to the Smokehouse Restaurant on Barham Boulevard in
Sure, I
Burbank,
know it.
and we were there. And Dave was standing at the table, and a waiter came up. I guess a waiter. I don't really remember, and said, "Oh, we can have a seat, sir." And he said, "No, I prefer to stand." And he ordered his food and he ate his dinner while standing and then paid the bill and left. It was one of the weirdest things I'd ever seen. But I was 10. I've seen weirder stuff since.
Oh,
So
that's
as
awesome.
I'm driving to Panican, let me tell you this.
Sure.
'Cause I'm glad you brought it up. So he had this little Fiat 928 Spider.
Ooh,
And
cool car.
he was really super cool car. Matter of fact, this once for sale down the street, and I was thinking about buying it. But anyway, so I would sit on his lap, and he would do the gears and make sure everything was okay. But this time, we're at the top of Topanga Canyon, which is the next 11 miles downhill with tricky turns and a cliff on one side.
Oh, big time.
Big time. So I'm sitting on his lap and I'm doing great. And he said, "You're doing really good, son." And then he grabbed his chest and went and keeled over like he was dead of a heart attack.
Oh, come
Which
on.
I didn't immediately buy it until the car started going so fast, and our tires are screeching, and there's cliffs on one side. And as we got down 11 straight miles at way too fast, he kindly sat up and went, "Oh, oh, oh," and then stopped at the red light because there's no red light on Topanga Canyon until you hit the ocean.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And he took it to the hilt. He'd be leaning over the side, and I'd take a big turn, and he'd go, bam, and his head would hit the window. And then he'd go over, and then bam, his head would hit the window. He carried it through, man. It was a big commitment on Dave's part.
Wow, wow. Now, did you also spend summers at his Malibu beach house? Is that also right?
Yeah, that's where we were driving when he taught me how to drive like a maniac on Topanga Canyon. I
Wow.
spent entire summers at his house. We almost all weekends, and then on hiatus, I'd stay with Dave, and it was wonderful. Just a great guy.
What did you guys talk about? What did you do? What kind of stuff?
We went down to the beach, which he literally was on the water. You'd go down the stairs and you were in the sand. So we'd swim, and he had some nieces and nephews that would come by, and I don't know, we'd talk. We wouldn't talk much about work. It's funny, I haven't been asked what Dave Madden and I talked about. We talked about all sorts of stuff, and it's not like he taught me the facts of life or took me fishing, but
Sure.
he was very much like a dad to me.
Wow, wow. And I know, look, it's no big hidden secret. You had a tough upbringing. Your own father, by the way, the one thing that I did notice, and I just want to know, like, how far this really went, is there was one interview you mentioned having a black eye, another one you mentioned losing a tooth. I mean, it was this heavy of abuse that you were dealing with, huh?
It's it's funny. Well, it's not funny. Today's the word abuse was never uttered, as far as I know. Dad had a real violent temper, and sometimes he would act out inappropriately. My eldest brother got it worse than I did, but yeah, the stories of the black eye are absolutely true, and that's one of the reasons. Dave Madden took me to his home out of the kindness of his heart, looking out for me, but
Yeah.
also. Shirley Jones or Susan Dey or David Cassidy might have been tired of the extra 20, 30 minutes I needed to make up to make it look like I didn't have a black eye. So they all started taking turns taking me home for the weekend. And then I guess whoever got the long end of the stick would be Dave Madden, who took me home for the entire summer.
Wow, wow. Well, so you know what? I mean, I'm always curious about stuff like that. So you're at Shirley Jones's house. What was that like? Because obviously she had a bunch of kids herself.
It's funny. that's one of the weirder things. First of all, I told Shirley we were doing a talk show for a 20-year anniversary or some such thing.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sure it's a child memory. They asked me about going to and staying at Shirley's house. And I said, I'm sure it's a childhood memory, but here's what I think. I think at 8, 10 in the morning, whatever time I get, I'd knock on the door would open, and there would be Jack Cassidy, movie star, full on dressed, red velvet smoking jacket, a cigarette in a holder. And he'd say, come in. And I said, Shirley, I mean, he looked like 007 at 8 o'clock in the morning, but I'm sure it's a kid's memory. She said, nope, that is exactly how Jack Cassidy was, always dressed to the nines. So, and then you walk in the door, and as the door opens, the Academy Award, and she was not shy about, we'd be doing stuff on the set and practicing lines, and I'd be showing off, and she'd bring out the Academy Award and slam it down on the desk and say, I'm in charge here. And then she'd be in charge.
That's awesome.
A spectacular woman.
Yeah, no, she's always appeared to be just class to me. So no, I hear you. What about, by the way, so David, I mean, I think it's always looming large in any interview that you do. What was it? I mean, I realized you were 10, he was like, I don't know, 20. Did you have much of a relationship at all?
I had my real relationship with David Cassidy came in, I think, 1991. I'm not positive. I had gotten arrested for some other stupid thing, whatever. I can't even remember. I used to have this habit about getting arrested in my 20s. But anyway,
yeah.
So I got arrested. It's all over the National Enquirer. My phone rings. I pick it up as David Cassidy, which is weird. I don't really know him as an adult. I know him when I was. And it's pure hero worship. David Cassidy's on the phone. What could be better? And he said, listen, you are, and I quote directly, he said, you're the funniest person I ever met, but now you've become the joke. And I'm thinking, this is an awful skinny little guy to talk to me this way. But he went on and he said, if we want to go on tour, and I promise, if you show up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for every radio gig, you'll have a job by the end of the tour. And our very last date in Philadelphia, I did an interview and I walk out, and the general manager, guy named Dave Knoll, who I owe a great deal to, he said, hey, that was great. Would you like to stay and be part of the morning show? And I didn't even know what to say. And this is the funny part. He said, don't be offended, but we only have $75,000 in the budget that we could pay you. And I'm trying to be cool, but I've never seen $75,000. The Partridge Family paid me $400 a week and only 26 weeks a year.
Yeah.
So I never had any. When people go, oh, he squandered his fortune. I would have if you gave me a fortune. I'd have squandered it. I'm a great squanderer from way back. But so anyway, I went in, I got the job. But here's the thing with David. David said, we're going to go on tour. And I was so excited. I've been waiting 30 years to get on a bus with David Cassidy. This is the greatest thing that ever happened. He said, all right, there's some ground rules. There'll be no drugs, no alcohol, no smoking, and no women. To which I said, I'm not going. Why would I ever agree to that? That's a terrible, terrible deal. And then, of course, I acquiesced. I went. And damn if I didn't get a job on the very last day for the start of a career in like 98 or 88, rather. And it started a 30-year radio career that went very well for me.
Yeah, it literally turned your life around. That is quite a story. What did you guys? Now, there's another classic example. You're on the road with David Cassidy. You're going to have your own time. What did you guys talk about? Did you have those opportunities?
We did have those. We talked a great deal. David was consumed with his next album he wanted to put out. It was an album of classics. I think it was called Songs My Father Taught Me. Wow. I'm not positive of that. But, we talked about the record business. But, I'm, 30 years old, 32 years old, something like that. And we just talked about the ways of the world. Neither of us were like bringing up philosophy questions. We just chatted about things that adults chat about. Right.
And by the way, did you know how to play the guitar at that point?
I still don't know how to play the guitar.
Wow.
I've recently taken lessons. I'm going to take a shot here and do this. I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. Hey, look, there's a bunch of guitars. See them?
Let's see. It froze up. Oh, yeah, now I see them. Yeah, I see them.
So I've been taking lessons for about 6 months. And this will be fun because I'm getting pretty good. Maybe more than 6 months. but I'm going to be doing some local shows with my brother John called the Bonaduce Brothers.
Oh
We'll play
man,
guitar,
Danny.
do some covers and things like that. Maybe take some questions, whatever. But we've got our first gig coming up in October. At my brother is a choir director, so our first gig is at October at the country fair that the church puts on every year. And then after October, we're going to be in a bar or street corner near you.
That's very cool. That's very
I like
cool.
the idea of busking. I'm a big fan of the idea of busking.
Yes.
But you have to have a tip jar. And I think people are going to think, well, what the hell's Danny Bonaduce doing with the tip jar? Well, first of all, half of the money goes to my brother, and the other half will go to either Wounded Warriors, Shriners Hospital, or St. Jude. They're always very close to me on speed
That's
dial.
cool.
But you have to have it. It's not busking if you don't have a tip jar. I wanted to do it without a tip jar to save some kind of face. But then I thought, no, it's not busking unless you're good enough to get somebody to put $1 in your jar, which is.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, put it out there. The heck with that. Hey, another one too. Okay. God, this goes back. I don't even know where I saw these, but you had said that it got to be so insane that women were literally either jumping over the wall or sneaking onto the studio lot to get near David. It got out of hand. Is that true?
That's totally true. As a matter of fact, on certain occasions, I'll tell you, if you want something done, ask a grip. I don't even know what a grip means, but it's a thing that people have to be in show business. Yes. And then you go out there and make a new gate in the back or the side, wherever it was, and he would come through and they'd pin it back up like it never happened. And that happened more often than you would think. A couple of times we had over 1,000 people at the front gate, and David was, David was a little nervous about that. Is it going to go away? Is it going to get worse? Is it going to, and then one time we were in Cincinnati at a fair, and he got cornered, and people took scissors to his hair and clothes. And the same thing happened to Susan Dey, and she never recovered from it. She just was all freaked out she's still alive and well in upstate New York, but she never wanted to go out and be in part of the Partridge Family again after that.
Oh my gosh, I'd never heard that. They took scissors?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
The only time I've ever seen David Cassidy with his hair messed up.
Yeah, right. I'd be scared too. Man, that's insane.
I kind of liked it. I thought it was going to be great fun. We'll wrestle. I thought it was neat. And plus, I came down to save David, and that was a thing that when we did on the tour, the '90s tour, he had a big thing about security, getting from the bus to the venue. Mm-hmm. And I said, David, I don't think the throngs of screaming fans are a problem anymore. We can just walk. You don't need security. I'm right here. I will be security, which he took me on, by the way. And he said, I'm not worried. I felt like I insulted him. He said, I'm not worried about thousands of fans that no longer exist. I'm worried about the one fan who won't give it up. And he was right. He had some creepy fans.
Oh, yeah. And I give this as a comment. You're a black belt in karate.
Yes, I am.
I would not, it's not like you could take that lightly. You could have defended him,
I most certainly could have. And he knew that. I think he knew that, but it didn't really come up. I told a couple of people, move back. But aside from that, it never came up. It was just, it was a real fear for him because he'd been hurt and he'd been demoralized and crowds. And then, and bring down the interview a little bit, but also 2 different girls died at a David Cassidy concert. And that, he, much like Susan never got over the thing in Cincinnati, David never got over these 2 little girls.
Yeah, no, I think he literally dropped out for a while there. I think he was on some friend's couch or something like that. I remember reading, and
he did. He slept on David Jolliffe's couch.
Oh God, from
David Joliffe, the guy with the big red flow from Room 222.
Yeah, sure. I know who David is. That's wild. Okay, that's pretty trippy. So. Tell me this with Susan Dey. Look, I think there's a million guys out there, probably myself included, that had a crush on her on some level at some point.
You're young? Aren't you a little young for the?
I was, but I saw the reruns. Okay.
So did my wife. My wife's a little younger, and she watched the reruns as well.
Yeah, it's like, wow, that's kind of cool. But anyway, Susan Dey, what was she like actually? Because I feel like she's a bit of an enigma, to be honest with you. I don't hear much about her.
No, you're absolutely. The last time I hadn't seen her in 30 years, 40 years, whatever it's been, till David Cassidy's memorial. And she was there and she looked great and couldn't have been sweeter. But no, I don't know that much about her life. She was in upstate New York with a real job and is very happy, as I understand it.
On set when you were kind of, I guess, growing up on set and she was around, was she just, I mean, was she even, what was she doing while all this
I
was?
wish I had video of this. You can find it. I'm sure if you look, we're doing a scene. We're around the breakfast table because we're a great all-American family. Dad died. That's in the very first episode, the very words, having my husband pass away 6 months previously. And she became, I think, the first single mother on TV. I'm not positive about that. But anyway, so we're doing a scene, and I don't know how this happened. She's got to, because TV people put their milk in glass containers for some reason and pour them in pitchers. And she's about to, and without any warning and any great explanation to why it happened, she just dumps a gallon of milk over my head. And I'm just sitting there, I froze. And the first thing I thought was, because I come from a family of maniac Italians who rebel.
Yes.
And luckily, I was so shocked by the cold milk, I had a second to sit and go, don't be weird, don't freak out. Maybe it's a joke. But you can find, I'm assuming you can find that on the internet. Yeah, it was in the joke reels we do for Christmas. That showed over and over and over again. I think if you Google it, you'll find it.
You must have been a bit in shock that it was her doing it.
I was, because I didn't know her to really speak that much. Yeah, she was right in her dressing room, did her lines, a real pro. But again, I'm 10. Once I hit puberty, the joys of Susan Dey struck me. And I went, oh, there's this beautiful girl right here all the time. But, like I said, I'm 10, 12. And by 13, I was getting pretty fat. So there are no illusions that Susan Dey might love me.
I got you.
And not just the fact that I'm fat. It's the fact that I'm fat and 13 that
right.
probably
of course.
That date on me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 13. I get it. By the way, here's another one. And you know what? Maybe it was just BS. I don't know. But you were in an interview again. God, this is going way back. And you said that there were so many women trying to sneak in that at one point you actually also ended up meeting one of these fans.
I did. I bet David Cassidy was too busy because this was a nice girl as I remember it. She couldn't get a hold of David Cassidy, and I think her thoughts were any partridge in a storm. And she came into my dressing room, and one thing led to another, and she left, and I was a man.
Oh my God! I mean, it's pretty wild.
It is pretty wild. Dude, growing up on the number one show. I mean, it wasn't always the number one show, but growing up on the number one show and also being a rock or pop band, it was so weird.
Oh my gosh!
But I miss it and I loved it.
Oh yeah. By the way, did you actually sing then? Not at all?
Didn't play. The only connection I have to those albums is that my pictures were on the cover. So other than that, I had nothing to do with them. That's one of the things that drove David so kind of crazy is I had to shoot 8 hours a day, no more. David could shoot 12, 14, 16 hours and then go to the recording studio all night to film the song or to track the song for that upcoming episode. The guy, I don't know how he slept. He had a ton of work to do, and it frazzled him by the end.
Yeah, I get it. I never really thought about it like that. Did you, by the way, did you go on location in essence? I mean, at all? I'm trying to think back to the show. I mean, I saw it. I was a big fan, but I'm just trying to remember. Did you go on location?
We did. We went on a cruise, actually. We went on the Love Boat before the Love Boat. We went on a cruise, and we did a cruise episode. The Bradys got to go to Hawaii, so that's not.
I remember that one.
But yeah, of course, with the tiki and the Greg's tiki. It's funny, we did a movie together called Dickie Roberts. I think Dickie Roberts, ex-child star.
Yes.
And I'm sorry it was such a little off-the-cuff comedy because it was genius. It was me and Leif, Garrett, and Barry Williams, and the guy from the Munster, Eddie Munster, or whoever it was.
Butch Patrick.
Butch Patrick, right?
Oh. We lost volume.
No, you're back.
Oh, there we're back. Okay. All right. So that was actually kind of fun. Hey, so by the way, since you brought up Dickie Roberts, who on that set was it like kind of fun for you to see again that maybe you hadn't seen in a while?
Well, the cast was a lot of fun. Leif, who I'd never met, and Barry Williams, a guy who I have come to admire in a weird way. But Corey Feldman was
Hmm.
there, and the reason I remember it so specifically is we went to do a cover shot or something, and Entertainment Tonight was there, and we had three bench seats, and then people like Barry Williams and Leif Garrett would stand behind us, and he never showed up. Corey Feldman never showed up. And the vibe was, and I don't know if he actually said this or whatever, but I'm a real actor and I am not posing for that picture. So they wouldn't move his chair, and I used some foul language. I said, just leave the friggin' chair where it is so I can say that Corey Feldman didn't even show up. And they went, all right, because I was pretty adamant about it. But, that guy's been through some hard times. So to come out the other end, although I don't truly believe he's come out the other end, I think he still has lots of issues. But I admire him for not completely falling apart.
Yeah, well, Danny, I'll throw it your way on that as well, by the way. I mean that sincerely. I mean, look, you've been around long enough, and I mean, I guess I'm old enough. There's a lot of child actors that went the route you're talking, and they never made it, you know.
No, that's totally true. But there are child actors today who have money in the bank and are doing very well and went to college because me and Todd Bridges made it so we're the foster kids for, oh, don't let your kids grow up to be in actors or be famous. It's terrible. Well, maybe true, maybe not true, but a lot like the kids in Modern Family, they should just send me a check because they have all their money. They haven't pissed any of it away. They're not going to jail because me and Todd did that for them.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I've had Todd on, and Todd's got it together, and he's
Todd's
same thing.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Todd's
I think you're sober like 14 years. I think he's sober like 34,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
15 years for me, and yeah, I think over 30 for him,
Oh.
for Todd.
By the way, congratulations on that. That's nothing to take lightly.
No, it's not, man.
Yeah, major kudos to you.
I'm going on a cruise of the Rhine in September, like 2 weeks. And the idea of getting on a cruise ship and not drinking is fairly appalling to me. But I've done other things that seem fairly appalling to me and got through them. And I have it took me 3 times, but I have a fabulous wife who will hold my hand and walk me through the valley of the shadow of death. And that sustains me. That makes me good.
That's awesome. No, Amy, I've had some communication with her, and a very professional, very, very cool. So
Yes,
I only heard great things. Yeah. And good for you. I mean, seriously, good for you. The other one too is you have 2 kids, and it sounds like they've gone like, completely different directions, and they're doing great.
I thought my son Dante, whose actual name is Count Dante, I thought he should learn from his dad and do a countdown show on radio stations, be the count with the countdown. And he just has no interest in it. He's a cook, and he's a good cook. And he works for, I wish I could remember the name of it. They're in Boulder, Colorado. They're a catering company. And he's there, and his fiance works in a different restaurant. So food will not be an issue for my boy.
I love it. And I love Boulder, by the way. I was just there in June, and it's gorgeous. My buddy got his son got married, and then I took my wife, we went to Boulder, and then we went up to Estes Park. And
Nice.
yeah, right by Rocky Mountain National Park. If you ever go visit Dante, by the way, I don't know if you've ever done that move, but if you go up to Rocky Mountain National Park, it's not that far from Boulder. Oh man, that's an incredible experience.
I will take that under advisement. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Definitely. So the other one, okay, look, you mentioned the memorial with David. What had been the last time that you had actually seen him prior to the memorial?
I'd seen him literally, I think, before the memorial, I hadn't seen him in about a year, maybe or 2. But we stayed in touch. Dave and I stayed in touch the entire time. After, not the entire, but after like 1990, we were kind of inseparable. I mean, mostly a lot of phone calls, but we became like best friends, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, I saw you say that Sean Cassidy, which by the way, I was pretty impressed that he would do this, that he called you like right after and said, I need you to know that David thought of you as his other brother.
Yes, that's exactly what he said to me. And it's weird. I found out that David Cassidy had passed. I was in Rome with my wife and my son, and we went into a gelato shop, and I'm sitting there eating ice cream, happy as I could be. And this guy walks up to me and says, I just want you to know I'm really sorry about your loss. And I thought, well, is it my dad? Is it my mom? What happened? And then I turned on the news and CNN and David Cassidy's passed away. So I found out that from some stranger in an ice cream shop in Rome. But yeah, it was a sad, sad day for me and a lot of other people.
Did you have any sense that this might be coming, even though, you had left for Rome?
No, I had no idea what was going. I got to tell you that either I'm the odd man out, but I never saw David Cassidy take a drink of alcohol ever. The first time I thought maybe there was a problem was he got busted for a DUI twice in like 3 weeks. Like once, I'm really sorry I did it. I won't ever do it again. I'll get my act together. But then 2 weeks later, do it again with an open bottle of whiskey in the car. It's like he was looking for trouble. I don't really understand it, but I personally never saw him take a drink. I never saw him act out in a drunken behavior. Sometimes he chastised his audience, which I never agreed with. It was a mistake. The customer is always right, and they're the customer, David. But he would get, somebody would laugh in the middle of a song or something, and David would get very, very upset. David took himself very seriously.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. Was it, by the way, going back to the show, did you have any guest stars that you really, as a kid, it was like, this is really cool that this person's on?
Well, at the time, I didn't know how wild this was. We had Richard Pryor was a guest star on the Partridge Family.
Wow.
And what's that guy's name? Lou. Honey, do you remember the guy's name? Lou Gossett Jr.
Sure.
With hair. Lou Gossett Jr. with hair on the Partridge Family. So we had, what's her name? Give me 1 second. Okay, I'll call it. She had a poster on the wall. Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, I had that poster on my wall. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the episode of the Partridge Family, the show was called Whiplash Willie with Henry Morgan as Willie. And he's saying that he's hurt, and we're saying he's not in an automobile accident. So I want to get a picture of him bending over because he says he can't bend over. So I tell Farrah Fawcett, and I'm 10, this is his first season, she dropped something, and this guy bends over to pick it up, and I take the picture, and then we show the picture to Shirley, and it's just a picture of Farrah Fawcett's ass. And Mom, she says to me, well, my baby's becoming a man. Adorable.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, the times you've had.
By the way, I think all three of Charlie's Angels were on our show at one point or another.
Wow. That's amazing. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't Jodie Foster even on there? Am I right on that?
Well, I claim that was my first on-camera kiss, but it wasn't. We just allude to the fact that I tried to kiss her, and then in the next scene, I have a black eye for real. Well, not for real, for makeup, because apparently she didn't want me to kiss her and punched me in the eye. So I always have that I had a big moment. By the way, Jodie Foster is such the real deal. She had to go to school too. She had to do the 8 hours too. And when we weren't filming or in school, she only spoke French. What? You're 8, you're 9, and fluent too. And she talked with her mother and I guess some French lady. But yeah, I never heard her speak English except when she was working. Cool, huh? Okay,
that is really cool.
That is cool.
What other shows were shooting like on the lot when you were, shooting?
On and off, because sometimes they were back for like a reunion, but the Monkees were right down the street. Bewitched was right in the corner. Although I did 2 episodes of Bewitched. Did you know that, Mr.
Yes. That's the ape one, right? Isn't that the chimpanzee?
Well, there's 2. And that's kind of a compliment for an actor, although I'm 7 or 8 years old. I did a part. And then a few months later, they called me up and I did a different part and they made no reference to the last time I was on the show. And it was the one with the monkey. And I will tell you this, I'm the only guy I know that has been bitten by 2 chimpanzees over years. My dad worked at the Philadelphia Zoo and he was taking a short tour. And I was playing with them, just, going like this to this little chimp in a cage. And it grabbed my finger. No, okay. And I went to leave. Hey, those little things are strong, man. And then I tried to pull away and he bit me on my knuckle. Next year, I guess, because I was only 9 when I was in Bewitched, I'm like the monkey's on the swing set and I'm digging and playing with him. And then he turns, jumps on my shoulder and bites my head really hard. And then the animal wrangler blamed me and yelled at me. Like, hey, your monkey's biting people, for God's sake.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so 2 times bit on the head by a monkey.
Wow.
Not Davy Jones kind of monkey, a different kind of monkey.
I got it. Oh, I know. They always say that they're not something to mess with. That's too funny.
They're not. They are not
Wow.
something to mess with.
Yeah. What about Eilzabeth Montgomery? I mean, obviously it's Bewitched. I mean, I have a ton of Erin Murphy, I know her and she's been on and people
She's
love
wonderful.
Bewitched.
I
She
really
is
like her.
wonderful. Yeah, what was Elizabeth? Could you, on any level, Elizabeth Montgomery at that age?
Yeah, I'm only like 8 or 9, but I've done other things by this point. I've been in, I did a movie with Elvis, which was pretty damn cool.
Trouble with Girls.
Yeah, Trouble with Girls, very
Yeah.
nice. And so I knew who was in charge, and the answer was Eilzabeth. She was the leader of the pack. And when I say not to be messed with, she didn't do anything like mean or anything like that, but you knew she was in charge. You knew absolutely she was in charge.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, but I liked her a great deal. I had a bit of a crush on her.
Yeah, I think I can understand why.
Yeah.
So what what about what the hell? You brought up Elvis. I tell that story, please. I was like, what did you just say? It was like something about like legs and Elvis. I was like, what is that?
All right. So the show, the movie is called The Trouble with Girls. And I like to say this first part, but then correct it right away because you'll automatically think I'm lying. But Elvis Presley gave me a Cadillac. Now, I'll give that a second to sink in so you will go, hey, I think you're lying. But actually, the show was about a circus and had 30 kids in it or whatever. And Elvis bought, I don't know, a dozen of these little push cars and gave them out to the kids in the movie.
Do you still have it?
No, I wish I did.
Oh.
I got stupid after the Partridge Family. I had a $10,000 bass guitar, which I traded for $10 worth of pot when I was 13 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish I had that today.
Oh,
so the thing with the legs, right? I'm glad I remembered it. So I'm there with my mom, which I want to make sure that's clear that because Elvis is about to invite me into his dressing room.
Sure.
Well, me and my mother.
Yeah.
And he was so excited that the handles to the faucets and every handle in his dressing room was either 14 karat gold or looked like it, but they were all shaped like women's legs. Every one of them. The thing on the back of tractors, mud flaps, that girl,
Sure.
the silver girl. No, they looked a lot like those, but the legs of those, for everything you could turn off or twist, was shaped like a lady's leg. And he was so proud.
I mean, really, as a kid, it had to be like one of those like Alice in Wonderland moments or something. Like, what?
I didn't fully grasp, like I said before, I've done other things. Now I'm in an Elvis movie. I don't think it occurred to me that I'm in a movie with Elvis Presley. I think it was just a day at work. And then when I'd mention it and people would flip out that I did a movie with Elvis Presley. So then I started talking about it, but it was just a job to me at the time. And I got a cool push car Cadillac out of it.
Yeah, no, I that is cool. Yeah, wherever that is now.
I probably got more money than I got from the Partridge Family to just do a couple of lines.
Did you? Go ahead. No, you go.
It's hard pressed to find a picture of me and Elvis together. If you go on the line, because I've done a lot of cool stuff free the internet. So you can get a picture of Elvis looking at me, but you can't see me, or a picture of me looking at Elvis, but you can't see him. I can't find a shot of me and Elvis together. I played a one-man band, and I've got cymbals on my knees and things on my fingertips, and blowing in a horn. And the shot is, and sometimes I look back and go, where the hell did I learn to do that? Because one show was, I blow into a tuba and I go, I don't know if you can see this on this. I go, and make this crazy cross-eyed face. I'm like, I don't do that. That's weird. Why did I? Because I guess because somebody told me to, but I delivered. I'll tell you this, man, in every show I've ever done, I feel like I delivered.
Oh, Danny, listen, you've had your problems. There's no doubt, well publicized, all that. But something that nobody can take away from you is you were a natural child actor. I mean,
and here's a bone I will throw to myself.
Go ahead.
When you say you had your problems, I mean drugs and alcohol, which I did.
Of course.
Never late. Not once. Not once. So
that is big.
And you have your issues, but you ask anybody I work with, they say, yeah, on time, go to good, news lines.
Yeah, you knew that you grew up in that era where it was like that was important, like show up, do the work, do that. Yeah. Nice, really, really. But I do, I don't just, it's not BS. I thought you were great. And like when I think of the Partridge Family, you were so freaking natural and just funny. It wasn't like, I don't know, it's hard to do that.
One of the things Shirley Jones says, which I really like that she said that. So in interviews, for somebody, it will always come up. Maybe it's the way she's guiding the interview, but she will say, if it was funny on the Partridge Family, it was Danny. I really like that. And I don't know that it was always true. Dave Madden was very funny, but they started writing specifically for me, which was great up until they did an episode called Danny Goes on a Diet. And I didn't know I was fat. Who's going to tell a child sorry he's fat? You got the #1 show in the nation. You're calling me fat? So I had no idea. And then he wrote this episode, and I have been on a diet ever since. I just lost 17 pounds recently, if you must know.
Oh my gosh, that's impressive.
Yeah,
it's a shame about that.
Don't drink, don't smoke, don't carouse. What has happened to me?
Right. What the heck is going on? How am I interviewing you? No.
Yeah. How am I not dead? I know that's the question. How are you not dead, Bonaduce? Well, I am not, and I'm a force to be reckoned with, mister.
I love it. I love it. It's funny. I had Joe Whelan on, and she was talking about how they would literally they put her under that weight pressure too, where it was like she would show up for fittings, and one of the producers actually said, hey, make the dresses 2 sizes too small. So that she would, and here she is. She's about that right around there. Yeah, same thing. It was like 13. It's just terrible. Do I believe it happened? Without a doubt, and same with you.
Oh,
but
yeah,
to do that to a kid, the effect you have is just terrible. It's weird.
Well, we all lived through something.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? It's very true. We've all had dysfunction on some level. So you're right. So look, you were making $400 a week, and like you said, it was 26 weeks.
Only half the year.
What was that?
I said it was only half the year, 26 weeks. The rest of the time we're
half the year. Where did that money go, though? Was there anything left in a fund for you?
On my 18th birthday, when I was told I could get my trust fund, I'll tell you exactly, I had $72,000. And I thought, well, I can eke out as long as I can on $72,000, or I could take a couple of buddies to Vegas. And that's what I did. And we spent the 72 grand in a few months. And, it was a real lesson, because now I'm broke, and I'm still Danny Partridge to a lot of people. And literally, for a time there, I was actually homeless off and on for a couple of years. And I used to park my car behind Grauman's Chinese, which I think there's something there, a building of some kind.
Yeah, they built that whole thing up, but I know what it looked like before.
So I would get up in the morning, and I would walk through the gates, and I would be right at the Grauman's Chinese, where people had done their hands and prints in the cement. And I would walk out, and there'd be 300-400 people with cameras, and all of a sudden Danny Partridge would show up, not looking his best, but I'd show up, and I'm signing autographs, and none of these people had any idea that I was homeless. I lived right by the dumpster out back, but to them, I was a movie star, and I liked it. I liked it a great deal. Once I lost my home, that's how you become homeless, by the way, if you're wondering. You lose your house. But to sit and sign autographs, and I'm not even sure where I'm going to eat next, but it was a wild dichotomy, if you will.
It's kind of funny. There's the initial feeling for me is I'm thinking, man, I feel terrible that happened to you and all that. On the other side of the coin, though, the fact that you would walk around the corner and people would notice you, would show you, love on some level, whatever. In a way, did that also help you get through that time a little bit?
I would imagine so, because when you're, people think that homeless people are having some kind of event, and that's why they're homeless. I hated it. I was scared all the time. I'm scared of the cops. I'm scared of not being the cops. I'm scared of somebody who isn't the cops banging on my window. It's not like one happy tribe when you hit the streets. It's a bunch of other maniacs. Some of them are, I'm sure, okay, and that's wonderful, and I wish you the best. But I was a maniac, and the people I surrounded myself in were maniacs. But the drunk, drug-using folks, and that was me. When I got sober 15 years ago, I'd already quit drugs a long time ago. I was not a big fan. But the alcohol, man, that can take you down the wrong road.
Yeah. Big time. Well, I'm glad
signing autographs at Grauman Chinese made me feel better. I never really thought of it. But yeah, I'm assuming, don't bite your nails, young man.
You got me. It was good. I know. And it's funny. I rarely ever have done that. Okay. So, let's take a look just outside of the Partridge Family. You were on a couple of, quite a few shows. One I noticed was Chips.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
That was fantastic because I had been out of work for so long. I didn't have any dental coverage. I didn't have, you get that through the Screen Actors Guild.
Sure.
And I hadn't made any money in a really long time. So that was great. But also, the episode was called Karate, I believe. And I was already, by the time I was 16, I think I was my first degree black belt. And you know what nunchucks are?
Of course I do.
I'm real good with them. And I took them to the interview with me when I saw karate, because what are you going to do, kick in the air? Everybody can kick in the air. What are you going to do? So I brought in my nunchucks and scared the bejesus out of a bunch of producers. But I'm real fast with them. And they said, can you do that in the show? And I said, that's why I brought them. So I did one episode of karate, and it worked out really well. So I did another. But dig this. They had a thing in their contracts with the network. They would never, ever draw handguns. Nobody ever drew on the show Chips.
Right.
Nobody ever drew a handgun ever until I came along with my nunchucks. And I'm kicking this cop who's 6'4" or 5 in the head repeatedly. And I mean, I'm not really kicking him, but it sure looks like it.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. So it got big ratings. So I went back 3 or 4 times to do more episodes of Chips. It was great. Erik couldn't have been Erik Estrada, super nice guy. Larry Wilcox, I don't think I shared 2 words with the guy. But I would still consider Erik Estrada a friend of mine to this very day.
Yeah, I've had Larry on. I haven't had Erik on, but I've met them both. And Erik, I agree with you. Totally outgoing, constantly connected to his fans. By the way, constantly. And it's not just a quick, "Hey, Danny, how are you?" It's like he's there.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. No, I agree with you.
You know what he does that is weird? If you ask me, and maybe you've done this or maybe you will do this, ask him about his hair, and he'll say, "Oh, it's all a wig," and then he puts it, and he can move all of his hair somehow. It's a weird trick. And for the longest time, I thought he was wearing a wig until I found out it's just a bit he does because he's got just the world's. The only thing better than his hair was his teeth, but he couldn't move them around.
Yeah. Oh, is that funny? No, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was around him for quite a while. That's wild.
Don't pretend he's wearing a wig. He's a good sport. We had my daughter. It was my daughter's birthday or something at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
And Estrada showed up. I guess my wife at the time had kind of whatever. And wow. I turned around and Erik Estrada's crawling through the tunnels of a slide for children. That's a good. And he's not even geese. He's perfectly sober and crawling through the hamster trails that are Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, good guy. You should interview him if you get a chance.
Oh yeah, I've been trying. He's not real big on interviews. I'm still communicating with him, but he told me, he said, "Look, man, I would love to do it with you. I'm not a big one on doing them." I don't know. That's just he likes the in-person stuff. He loves that.
Yeah, and he's good at it.
Exactly.
There are certain celebrities that were born to be celebrities. I hear this guy's just crazy, and you can't align yourself with him, but I have no idea of his online presence. James Woods, the actor?
Oh, sure.
He was meant to be a movie star. We're doing a gig in Vegas, and there's like 5 of us. We're doing celebrity poker or some such thing.
Yeah.
And there's a line around the block to meet us. And we're there from 10 to 2. And it says so. We're there. The celebrities are here from 10 to 2.
Yeah.
You couldn't peel James Woods away. He went down that list of 200-300 people, said hello to everyone, signed everything, told stories. That some people are born to be famous. And he's one. I hope I'm one. I liked it. I'm a big fan. Like I've said this before, being a child star is great. Being an ex-child star is a bit of a problem.
That's so good. Yeah. I got it. I like that, though. I totally appreciate that. Hey, another one you were in, and it's probably because I'm a Star Wars fan that I spotted it, but Corvette Summer with Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
Now, is this prior to Star Wars, though? Is this prior to?
No, he's done an episode of Star Wars, and now he's doing his first movie after Star Wars. Oh, it was also his first movie after his really nasty car accident. He got, they were they could have dumped him for not looking like him, but then the very next episode of Star Wars, the very opening scene, he's out trying to do whatever Martian stuff he's trying to do, and he's attacked by this monster that falls him, and that explains the scars on his face. So, God, was that George Lucas? God bless you. That's cool. You and Def Leppard, they hung with the drummer who lost an arm. They waited for it to get better. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which I think is a testament to real rock and roll. We're going to wait till our one-armed drummer can figure out a new drum set, and he did. And he's great.
Oh, he's terrific. You ever watch him? My God, he's terrific. I agree
Oh,
with you.
I've seen him like 10 times now. A great band.
Oh yeah. No, I would love. I have never seen them, but I've always loved Def Leppard.
You know who can't avoid talking is Gene Simmons. You should call him. Figure out some reason to talk to Gene Simmons. He'll walk to your house to talk.
Right. Okay. I will. Yeah, he definitely seems that way. Yeah, without a doubt. I know what I was going to ask you. Married with Children
Yeah.
was with Dave Madden. You did an episode with Dave Madden. Am I right on that?
I'm not sure you're right. I did an episode
Okay.
with Gary Coleman.
Oh, with Gary Coleman. Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe I got them mixed up.
Yeah,
I mean,
they look alike, man. I can't tell
they're
those two
so
apart.
similar.
Dave Madden, Gary Coleman, same guy, really. I never see them together.
So how was that with Gary Coleman?
It was weird. I'd never really done anything like that I could think of, like stunt casting. I remember the first time I was doing an episode of Pacific Blue with Mario Lopez. And the little girl from the Brady Bunch was in it and somebody else. And this other actor referred to his being in stunt casting. And I did not like the sound of that and said so. I said, it's not stunt casting. We did a lot of the things because we're really good at it. And he realized it was time to get out of my dressing room with his stunt casting. But that is what it is. And and I enjoyed working with Mario Lopez. And I ended up working with him again in the future. Wonderful guy.
Well, yeah, you guys did the talk show the other half, right? With Dick Clark.
Yep.
Hey, I love to jump around. What obviously Dick Clark, if we're going to look at icons, he's one of them.
Yep.
What was that like working with Dick Clark? Because I've grown up around him.
It wasn't as strange as it sounded. I've known Dick Clark my entire life. My dad did a show in Philadelphia when he worked at the zoo called Joe the Zoo Man. And I don't know if Dick Clark was the producer or what it is, but he's been in my family since before I can remember. There's a video of him giving me a haircut. I couldn't have been over 3 years old. So I don't know what it was for, but I was crying up a storm. But yeah, Dick Clark had always been in my life. I'd known him as much as like a grandparent.
Wow, that is pretty cool. I had no idea. So was that
a real guy too, man? Can I tell you a mildly off color story?
You can tell me any story you want.
All right. So Dick Clark is Dick Clark, and there's no two ways about it. That's how the show works. It's Dick Clark and some other people. But I don't know if it was Mario ideas or my idea, whatever it was. We used to go into Dick Clark's dressing room and fart. And we thought that was the funniest thing. We'd close the door. And after it came out what was happening, he'd go to the dressing room and go, God damn it! Where are they? And we'd all run for cover because we're grown-ups, we're not children, but we just thought it was the funniest thing. And then you're going to find this hard to believe. I don't remember if it was my dressing room or Mario's dressing room, but we walk in, and there's Dick Clark, and he looks at us and he goes, how's that for an old fart? And walks out. You got to love Dick Clark, man. What other icon's going to fart in your trailer?
I love it too because Dick Clark always looked like $1 million.
Always up to the day he died. Mario and I were both pretty jacked up, had pretty good like muscles going into the very first episode. And Dick Clark said something about beating us in a push-up contest. We laughed. We got all the right down the position. And after like 12 or 15, when it started to get hard on young men, Dick Clark's still going. I don't know how many we all quit. I mean, we probably could have gone further, but we're going, is this guy going to have a heart attack? He won't stop. And he must have done 30 push-ups, which is no small feat, man.
No, it's not. Wow, that's pretty cool. Was that a fun experience for you being on that? It was like was that 2 years?
I think it might have been 2 years, yeah. And I loved it. I was really sorry that it didn't work out. I could smell that it wasn't going to work out because we wanted to be the male view, right? People do the View with Barbara Walters at that time. And it's like, there is no male view. There's only what daytime dictates, and we weren't the right thing for it. But and that was my second venture into daytime talk shows. I did a show in 92 maybe called Danny through Disney. Yeah, that was really fun too. But like right as the first episode was being shot, a guest on the Jenny Jones show, remember her?
Sure.
Okay, a guest on the show was your secret crush. And this guy had no idea who his secret crush was. It turned out to be his neighbor, a man. And he was really offended or something. I don't know. It looked normal. I saw the episode. And then he went home, grabbed a shotgun, and killed that guy. And I'm telling you, nothing will slow down what's going to happen on your talk show after somebody gets gunned down because of it. So
Oh my
I
God.
remember that my first episode was about a woman who had 68 piercings. Now you got to remember, this is 30, 40, I don't know, 40 years ago. Jeez.
Wow. Wow.
So it was a novelty that she had all these piercings. And I said some joke about a metal detector, whatever it was. And she said, yeah, there are people in this world that have 150, 200 piercings. And I went, oh, yeah. And those guys are crazy. And I hear cut. And over the loudspeaker, Danny, can you come in the control room? I go in. They said, you're beating up your guest. I said, I'm not. I made a little crack. It's totally. She has 68 facial piercings.
Yeah. I don't.
So we couldn't really do anything. We had a Partridge Family reunion. Susan was only on the phone, but we had Jeremy Gelwax, the first Chris.
Yeah.
And I remember we're all having fun doing this talk show. And I said, Jeremy, what's your favorite member of the Partridge Family? What's your favorite memory? And he goes, I don't have any. Way to bring down my show. Thanks, buddy.
Wow.
But those shows didn't always work out. I had a high school girlfriend on. So we're both, I guess, in our 40s at this point, maybe late 30s. But I'm talking to her, and I said, and she was a great artist. Vicky is her name. And I said, are you still drawing because you're so good at it? She said, I haven't drawn ever since you tore up my paintings.
Oh, my God.
Yes, man. National TV, and I'm the worst person imaginable. Thanks, Vicky. But she's right. I was having some jealous thing. I was 16, and her painting or drawings were on the wall, and I made some point while tearing up her work. God, I have a lot of regrets in life, and that's one of them. I remember telling Oprah Winfrey, because that's how cool I am. I'm sitting with Oprah Winfrey and Todd Bridges and the guy from the Munsters, Eddie Munster, Butch Patrick, and a bunch of other guys. It's has-beens on parade. And yeah. I'm the king of the has-been. I make the best living out of being a has-been of any of them. I've completely forgotten what the hell I'm talking about.
No, tell me about Oprah. Being on
so
Oprah.
Oprah said to me, and I'd been on a lot of drugs and I'd been arrested. And Oprah says, do you have any regrets? And I honestly said, no, I don't have one. Whatever I did that got me on that plane flying first class, thank you very much. That's a meal. I was living in my car at this point. That's a whole meal, maybe two. And I said, no, I don't have any regrets. I drove in a big white plane, got in a big black car, and now I'm talking to Oprah Winfrey. What could be better? Man, a little time has passed. I got all sorts of regrets. I'm sorry about almost everything but doing the Oprah Winfrey Show. That worked out. And I ended up doing it a few times. I was Geraldo's #1 guest for a while.
Oh, my gosh. Jeez. Oprah, it sounds like she treated you well, though. I saw something about that interview, and you said she gave you her card or whatever and said,
get whatever you want. This. I said, in the same expression, the same story of I have no regrets. I said, why would I have regrets? I'm staying at a first-class hotel where I can just sign Oprah Winfrey for anything I want. She said, well, that's great. You have it. I said, oh, no, they sell stereos in the gift shop. And I bought everything they would let me sign for. I'm not giving them a chance like that.
You actually left with a stereo?
I don't know if it was a stereo. It was something big. It was something over $200 because Oprah Winfrey people, not Oprah herself, sent me a bill. I wrote a smiley face on it and sent it back. Yeah, I'm really going to pay the tab.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm living in my car and you want $200 for a stereo I didn't actually buy?
That's funny. Hey, by the way, a lot of people, I mean, they always talk about, Dave Madden, Shirley Jones, David Cassidy, Susan Dey. Very few people, though, mention or bring up Jeremy Gelwax or Brian Forster or Susan Crowe. What were they like, by the way, at that time? Because you were, yeah, as you said, 10. They were younger.
I don't mean this in any bad way. Just my reaction. They were almost invisible. If they had any lines in a show, they were usually Shirley Jones would say, I could be touring with Tommy Dorsey, and the two kids at the same time would go, who? And that was their big gag. So they'd get their whole schooling done in one sitting. And I'd have to go for 20 minutes at a time all day long. But yeah, I know Brian reasonably well now. We do one of those autograph shows where you can come and get autographs from people. He has been sitting right by me. It's weird because I thought this is demoralizing and weird that I'm doing an autograph show. But then if I look to my left, there's Shirley Jones, an Academy Award winner, signing stuff, including books and stuff. And over here, Martin Landau. So I'm sandwiched between 2 Academy Award winners. How bad can this be? I've only done a couple of them, but they've been great so far.
Oh, yeah. And the fans love that opportunity.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Where are you located?
I'm in LA.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why I wouldn't know that right then.
Yeah, no problem. I'll probably see you at some point, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, by the way, the other weird one is that reunion special, but it's the reunion of the Partridge Family and my
three sons.
What
Nothing
the
could
heck?
have been weirder. I don't know what they did. It was a Thanksgiving Day show, a special. I don't know why they did it. I don't know what the point was of doing it. All I remember is we were on the same lot with Welcome Back, Kotter. And John Travolta was getting into a really cool vintage Mercedes-Benz. And I said, hey. And he said, hey. And that's my big memory of that show. That I ran into John Travolta and said, hey.
It's funny that you would say that because I've had Tina Colon, I've had Barry Livingston, I've had Stan Livingston. I swear to God, a lot of them have really no memory of it either. It's like it's like this weird moment that happened. Like, what was that? It's so funny that you say.
I got a chance. My wife, God bless her. I was going to say God bless her soul. She's not dead. She's sitting right there.
Yeah.
But God bless her. She's a fan of the show and the music. And by the way, if you ever get a chance to marry a fan, do it. People think, oh, man, she liked me before I met her. She likes me more. You still like me a lot? See?
Sorry. That's funny. By the way, the other one I was going to mention is you got a recording contract, 1973. What was that like? Kind of mind blowing. Everybody always wanted to just go record an album.
It was pretty cool. The guy who's in charge wrote most of the songs, and if you listen to that, I think my voice is in there somewhere, but it's mostly a guy named Bruce Roberts, a seriously talented guy, and it's same thing that they did with Leif Garrett. They overdubbed his voice. Leif will tell you, I can't even hear my own voice on that. If Leif tells you anything, he's hard to get a hold of.
He is. I've tried.
He is. Have you? Does anybody know where he is?
Honest to God, I haven't been able to reach him. Yeah.
I do this thing. I'm sure a bunch of people do. That's why it's so popular. But I Google celebrities' net worths all the time.
Oh, yeah.
What everybody's got. Some people have 20 million. Some people have more. But Leif Garrett, he's a wonderful guy. And according to Celebrity Net Worth, he's worth $3,000. And he has no job and no prospects. And I like the guy. I hope things work out for him. Like I said, I try to get a hold of him, but I don't think he keeps a steady phone number.
Yeah, no, I
was made for dance, and I was made for him. I could have sung his song for him.
I love it. So was that a fun experience for you then as a kid to record?
Yeah, I'm in New York City, living it up. I'm saying I have money in the bank. I was 13. Yeah. I don't know if I had any money in the bank, but I was still a big star, and my mom was there, and recording artists were there, and producers were there. It was pretty cool. And then I ended up on Bandstand.
You did?
Yeah. Feel free to not look up that video. It's crazy. A pudgy little Danny with crazy hair and a microphone lip syncing a song. What was that song called?
Dreamland? Or is that
Yes, it was. I was Dreamland was my song, and eventually, I forget what record company, maybe Laser Thin Tie, a company like that. Anyway, they pay you a nickel to come in and take my album away. So they actually paid people to take my album.
That is too funny. You were, look, obviously I understand your background and everything like that with your family, but you were so rebellious. Like even when Shirley Jones, some of the stuff I read is you'd be at her house and you would do stuff like, throw a plate of food or whatever. What was that? Were you rebelling because of what was happening in your home life?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'll be completely honest with you. I have no idea of rebelling. Or, I was a guest at Shirley Jones' house, and I behaved reasonably well. So, yeah, I rebelled years later, but there's no rebelling on the set of the Partridge Family. Shirley was there, and Shirley was large and I'm sure a girl wouldn't like that description. Shirley was in charge. And, you could get away with it. We were kids, and we had some kind of kid mayhem every night. But when it was over, Shirley would say, okay, back to everybody, and everybody would snap through attention. Shirley Jones, what a great experience that was for me, knowing her that well.
Wow.
She's
Wow.
like 92 now, isn't she?
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to have her on, but I can't, that's another one. I don't think she's doing interviews, but
The time is ticking, my friend.
I know, trust me, I've lost a few already that I haven't had a chance to get on in time. Hey, by the way, Shirley Jones, now am I right on this one? You guys were on the Drew Carey show together.
Yeah. And this, I don't know if it was an intentional joke, but this is a really bad point of my life. I got in a pretty nasty fist fight with a transvestite. And, I'd been in a couple of fist fights and they didn't make that much noise, but you smack a guy in a dress and people want words. And it wasn't, it was just a straight normal fist fight, but it went crazy. On the Drew Carey show, I'm downstairs, I'm in a biker jacket. They made me look kind of tough. And Drew Carey comes down the stairs wearing my mom's nightgown for some reason. And I guess it was an homage, whatever. So I ended up punching him in the face and down he goes. And that was my episode of the Drew Carey show, was punching Drew Carey in the face.
Jeez. Okay. But by the way, the other one too is, which I loved the show, and I got to go back and see your episodes or whatever, is CSI, crime scene investigation.
That's talk about not having insurance and getting a job on ships. Things were not going that well for me. I might have been on the radio by then. Oh yeah, I was. So I'm on the radio and I get a call from the producer of CSI, which at that point is the biggest show in the world. It's the first CSI. There's not one of the spinoffs. And they called me up and they said, hey, we got a great part for you. Want to do it? And I said, I'd love to, but I can't. Got to go buy it. I hung up. My agent calls and says, hey, did you just turn down CSI? And I said, I'm busy. And they said, you're not that busy. Do the show. Call them back. Say you're sorry. I not only did the show, and this is kind of cool, they killed me in the first episode, right? I'm dead. And that's the end of that. Well, CSI is one of the first TV shows that really monitored their online presence. Mm-hmm. And apparently I was a hit. So they called me up and said, do you want to do another episode? And I said, is a different guy? And they said, no, same guy. I said, but you killed me. How am I going to be there? Back in videos, the character is based on Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, wow.
And apparently my character bit the heads off chickens live in concert. So now that I'm dead, I made a video, I guess before I died, saying, hey, don't bite the heads off chickens. Chickens are people too, or some such thing. And then they had me back again with the public service. So I did 3 episodes of CSI, 2.5 of them dead. So that's pretty good.
Unbelievable, the stuff that you have been through. By the way, how did Oprah even find you when you were homeless in that car?
When she found me, I was actually living on a boat, a leaky boat that I had to bail out every 6 hours. It would sink. I don't know. I mean, that boat, you'd think it was a terrible existence. It was wet and damp and musty. But I got my first radio gig in Chicago because I lived on that boat. My phone rang. People were able to get a hold of me, and CFI got a hold of me. Oprah got a hold of me, and a disc jockey named Jonathan Brandmeier got a hold of me. And I had been arrested this time for, I think, cocaine. And I get a call. It's 4 a.m. I was sleeping on a rickety boat. And I pick up the phone. I said, hello. And this voice on the other said, Danny, little Danny Partridge, tell me you wouldn't do drugs, little Danny Partridge. Well, I can smell a disc jockey a mile away at this point. And I said, why not pay this guy's bid off? So I said, hey, can you hang on just a second, man? Give me a second. Hey, yeah, what's up? What's happening there in Chicago? That's awesome. Hey, listen, I got to go paint the boat. Bye. And the guy flew me out to Chicago, and I ended up making a pretty decent living as a jock.
Wow. I mean, just wow. How these things come up. Yeah. And the other weird one, by the way, was Frank Sinatra walks up to you in a restaurant and asks for your autograph.
Jilly's restaurant. It wasn't actually Frank. It was for Frank. He was there. He's right there. There's Frank right there. And somebody else came up and said, Mr. Sinatra would like your autograph. And Mr. Sinatra didn't mean anything to me. I knew who he was, I guess. But one of his guys came up and said, he's got a niece that thinks you're the greatest. Can you please give an autograph to Sheila? And so I did. Yeah. I also signed an autograph for Nixon. Look out, man. I'm a pretty big star writing autographs for Frank Sinatra and Richard Nixon.
Wow.
Who
Wow.
also had a niece that liked me.
Okay, that's pretty wild. Are you, I know you wrote your book, I think it Random Acts of Badness or yeah, I think it was badness.
That's the only thing I didn't write was that I didn't write the title, and I never liked the title. And I think the day it came out or the day after it came out, 9/11 was joined to us. So you didn't want to be the guy doing Random Acts. But it sold okay, and I enjoyed writing it. It's one of the ways I met my lovely wife. I was at Starbucks. I'm going to go 18 years ago. And I'm standing in line or waiting, and I see this girl, a very pretty young lady,
Yeah.
and she's staring at me, and she's starting to walk towards me. Well, this is nothing new. She's going to ask me for my autograph. She's going to say, I loved you on Danny Parker, whatever she's going to do. But she walks up to me and she goes, I just wanted to tell you, I read your book and I really enjoyed it. And I said, you want to get married? And she thought I was kidding. But I ended up marrying her a little while. First, I had to get a divorce. That I had to come in. But Amy had nothing to do with the divorce. We were already all signed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met her at Starbucks and life was great. Life's been really good ever since.
Oh man, I'm very happy for you. She obviously has been a terrific
Did you just call me a has-been?
No, you did. No. No, I did not call you a
No,
has
you didn't. You said she always has been. And I often say whenever those words go in one sentence, I think that's the name of my next book, Always Has Been.
Always has been. Would you, by the way, would you write another one?
I would. It was, I wasn't sober when I wrote it. That's for sure. I wrote the book I'm dyslexic, so I ended up writing the book with dictation software. So I wrote parts of that book in nice bars. But I would sit there and I would drink and I would dictate my book. And eventually I would get so drunk and slurring my words that the program didn't recognize me anymore. So that's how I knew I was done. When I got too drunk for the speak and spell, it's time to be done writing for the night. And I dedicated the book to Jose Cuervo and Philip Morris because they spent the most time with me.
Oh my gosh. Now you said you're dyslexic, and I've had Henry Winkler on. He's also dyslexic. And what
Tom
was
Cruise.
Tom Cruise? What was your way of being able to do, know your lines then and all that?
I'll tell you, that's how we found out I was dyslexic. It was every Friday night or whatever it was, they would deliver next week's script to my home. And my mom and I would study the lines over and over and over again. And I would go in, I'd have my script open, and I would do all my dialogue. But one day, the script didn't get to my house. And I never thought a thing about it. I got there, and I got to the script. I opened up, and it went something like this. Mr. Kincaid, I would like to go, Mr. Kincaid. And I just couldn't read at all, barely at all. And a producer thankfully said, hey, man, he's an educated young kid. There's no reason for him to struggle like that. So they sent me to a doctor. And this is back in the day when they would actually diagnose you with dyslexia. First thing out of his mouth, you're dyslexic. So, yeah, but the thing is that can, push you in other positive ways. Ask Henry Winkler and Tom Cruise. It didn't hold them back.
No, I agree 100% with you. Yeah, it's the truth. You can push through it and be in a good place. By the way, I guess to come close to wrapping it up here, did your mom, it sounds like she was pretty, whereas your dad, obviously there were a lot of issues. It sounds like your mom was pretty supportive of you.
Right, very supportive. We'd go on these auditions together. And, it's not nothing. You got to go to downtown Hollywood or Burbank or whatever with LA traffic, find a parking space, and then learn your lines with, my mom would teach me my lines. I'd go in interviews, and this is like in the 60s and 70s. Oftentimes I'd go in an interview and there'd be kids that looked just like me, and there'd be other kids that had badly dyed red hair and drawn on freckles and stuff like that. It's pretty embarrassing, but that's still the way Hollywood is, from what I understand. I don't venture into Hollywood that often anymore, but I still think people show up. Like I think for the Married with Children one, I showed up in a safari hat for some reason. I don't remember why or how I even got a safari hat, but they liked it, and I got the job. It's called How Green Is My Apple, was that episode.
Oh, is that funny? Hey, you know what? I can't have you end the interview though without asking about what you just went through. How are you? How are you doing? You had I'm not going to get it right, but
hydrocephalus.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I couldn't pronounce it.
I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on the Zoom computer, but I have got. Can you see that?
I see it. I can see the hump. Sure.
Yeah. You can see my hump, my lovely ladybugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll get that. And, I'm also 66 years old. So oftentimes, I'll either forget what we're talking about or anything like that. But, I'm old and I have a shunt. I have a built-in excuse for not remembering what the hell we're talking about.
Are you I mean, I understand that you had a fall and that's how you this whole I mean, that's
Oh,
how you realized it was happening?
no, that's not correct.
Oh,
I fell off a unicycle, and I never fell off. I'm an expert unicycle. I can ride them downstairs. I can jump up curbs. And one
wow.
day I got on it, and it just all didn't make sense to me, and then I just fell flat on my back. And I wasn't that hurt. I mean, it was a big thud, and I was kind of emotional about it. You hit it that hard. It really shocked me. But when we went to the doctor, and he said it's most likely that this comes to a bang to your head. And he said, do you know when that happened? I said, I know 100 people who have punched me in the head. I have no idea who the culprit is. It could have been Jose Canseco, which was a stupid fight on my part. Could have been the unicycle, could have been my dad, could have been a failed boxing career, could have been anything, but it happened. And now as far as I can tell, I'm 100% back. I could ride a unicycle if I wanted to.
Wow, I'm so happy for you because
Well,
seriously,
thank
that
you.
that was no joke. I mean, I saw a
Uh,
photo of you in like a wheelchair. I mean, they were, you
I
know,
have pictures of me in the house I'm in currently in a wheelchair, and you'd think that you'd show a picture that would. I don't remember it at all. A lot of things happened during that year that I just don't recollect. But if I hurt your feelings by not knowing who you were or what we meant to each other, I'm sorry. I had brain surgery, for God's sakes.
oh
But
man,
it was
listen,
traumatic.
I'm really glad that you're back. I think honestly, Danny, I think you look terrific. I think you sound great.
Well,
Uh,
thank you. You look
and
great too, but you have a nasty habit of biting your nails.
And you know what's funny? I'll be hearing about that now from my
You
subscribers.
should. It's a
Thanks.
despicable habit.
Thanks so much, Danny. I really appreciate it. Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much for being on. And
It was
I
a
hope you
pleasure.
have
You're,
just
you're very good at this stuff.
oh,
In case
thanks.
nobody's mentioned that, you're very good at this. I've done interviews for the last 50, 60 years. That was a real compliment that your investigative work into my life is flattering at the very least.
That's cool, Danny. I appreciate it, and I hope that I do see you at one of these autograph shows or something at some point, and I'll make
I
sure
might be
to come up.
busking or playing in a local bar in your neck of the woods. You never know.
Yeah, the Bonaduce brothers, right?
The
Is that right?
Bonaduce Brothers.
Okay, all right. I'll look
All
for it.
right, man.
Okay,
Cool. Very
thank
fun
you so
time.
much.
Thank you.
You got it. Pleasure. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Please don't forget to hit the subscription button and also hit the notification bell right after that so that you get notified whenever I have a new episode. And be sure to check out some of my other interviews. Henry Winkler, Jerry Mathers, Angela Cartwright, Shelley Fabre. It goes on and on. They're so great. Enjoy.